Hi, this is Majinoni, and here's my review for probably the two best books that came out this week. We have Fantastic Four number 588 and Amazing Spider-Man number 655. I'm going to do Amazing Spider-Man first. Now, I'm going to first start off with the cover, because this cover is fantastic. I love how it's the white cover, you have the black text up on top, Peter Parker kneeling in what could be a pool of blood, but the blood pool looks like a spider web. Just the way the coloring is done with the costume, I think that this is like a strong, really, really strong cover. Now, going on, this is the aftermath of J. Jonah Jameson's wife's death. And I think this whole beginning part is just fantastic. The way they convey the emptiness, the loneliness, the sadness. Like you have Jonah just staring, and then as he's laying in bed, and there's just like this emptiness that, it's not like she went to the store early or went to work early, and he's laying there. It really conveys this emptiness and the sadness. And then even when he's after his shower, when he's shaving, there's again this emptiness that's there that shouldn't be there. And I thought that was like really, really powerful. Now, on the Spider-Man side of things, you can just see it in his face too, and it looks like he's totally shell-shocked throughout the entire the funeral. Now, I think that they did a really good job at not really putting in a bunch of dialogue. Putting dialogue in during this funeral would have been a disaster. We don't need to hear what these people are saying. The artist did a fantastic job at conveying what they're thinking and what's being said. Now, and also another thing is, if you noticed, J. Jonah Jameson's expression really does not change much, which I thought was also really good, because you can tell he's definitely in a state of shock. Now, while the beginning part was really, really strong, the end goes really weird, because Peter's having this nightmare about characters who have died. Ben, it plays a very, very strong role into this, and it's basically he's visited by a lot of the dead characters. They have his parents, the thief that he failed to save. They talk about how, she's like, well, don't worry, Peter, I'll be back, because, technically I was with the Spider Slayers and I was a villain. But Peter's like, no, you're not a villain, you're a really good person. And she's like, well, I guess then I'm not coming back. So I thought that, on one hand, I thought it was funny that they're playing off of how characters come back, but the other hand, I thought that dialogue there was really strong. Going over to the next page here, you see this full page spread where there's all these dead characters that are coming back. There's Gwen Stacy's father, there's Gwen Stacy there, Ixiel, even the Spider-Mobiles here. So I thought that was really, really cool. And the way the whole thing is, the city's just, all these odd angles. Then he goes to the Green Goblin with Gwen Stacy, since that was a really important part. And what I thought was really cool panel was seeing Gwen standing there with her neck broken like that, talking to Peter about the death and stuff. And I thought this was really, really a real strong issue. Highly recommend it, especially if you've been following Spider-Man. This is a really, really good story. Now, while that was good, this is better. Now, while the other Spider-Man book, who had part of the book with no dialogue, this pretty much has no dialogue except for the very end. Now, this is basically 30 days after, it shows you the rolling 30 days what happened after the death of Johnny Storm. And, I thought one thing I thought was kind of funny to see Wolverine in this typical, claws coming out, expression type thing, but then how everything just changes, just through Ben Grimm's expression. Now, you have Susan Storm closing herself off from Reed, and I thought what was really cool was Reed basically wants to go to the negative zone, and he's going to basically exact vengeance. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this almost looks like the Ultimate Nullifier. And when he opens the door, he's all ready, but then Baby Annihilus is there. And one thing I thought was kind of weird was his expression, because it's kind of like he's taunting him, but at the same time he's showing him a certain degree of respect because he's giving Reed Johnny's torn uniform. So it's like a weird dynamic that's going on with that. And of course, once Reed sees that, then he just breaks down and closes the door type thing. Now, during the wedding, during the funeral, Dr. Doom shows up, which I thought was like a nice touch. Because, it's like Dr. Doom, even though he thinks he's superior and stuff, he still has a side of respect for, the Fantastic Four. Now, the one thing I thought was really cool was these 2 pages here. You have the Future Foundation kids. They're creating a to-do list. The first thing on their list is, find a replacement. So they have some names on there, and they basically say screw that, and their new list is to kill Annihilus. Now, when you look at the expression, the Richards kids, they're going to be up to something, and I cannot wait to see what they're going to do. I'm really, really hoping that these 2 kids do something, and I hope they do take that plot thread, because I think this could be really, really interesting. Now, eventually, I'm not going to spoil it, but at the very end, Reed gets a surprise visitor. I'm not going to say who it is, but that's where the springboard is for the next storyline. Now, there's like a backup story with Peter Parker and Franklin. Now, this is the only time you really get dialogue, but this is pretty much, like I said, this is after the fact. Now, Peter's basically trying to help Franklin cope with his loss, and I thought that the interaction between these 2 characters was really, really strong. It's like you can see that from this, you can tell that as long as the writers basically go back to this, you can now have like another relationship like Peter had with Johnny, but in this case, Peter would be more of a mentor to Franklin. Now, Franklin obviously feels responsible to a certain degree because he thinks that he could have done something to save Johnny. And, sure enough, Peter is in that same situation. So, basically, Peter talks about Ben, his uncle, and when finally Franklin says, I think I could have done something, Peter confesses, what, I know I could have done something. And so now they have a common bond between them, and I'm really hoping that, again, this is another thread that somebody picks up and continues with, because I think this could also prove to be something that's kind of interesting. In a way, the way Franklin is, he's extremely powerful, and, with the right situation, he can easily become a killer, especially, with the rage of, the fact that he could have saved Johnny. But with Peter there, he can balance a little morality to the situation and help guide him. Basically, Peter's basically saying, look, you have a power, you have a responsibility, use it, but don't feel guilt. You obviously are going to feel guilty, and the pain's going to be there, but eventually things will get better. So, overall, I think these 2 books were really, really strong. And and then there's a preview for the very back for the new costumes. I'm not liking this one, but I think the Spider-Man costume looks pretty interesting. But overall, I think, like I said, solid 2 books. If you have any comments or questions, let me know. Rate the video up or down, let me know what you think. And I'll put up more reviews later. So until next time.